Hola. I have to write something down. I don't know if you guys can. Whatever. Hi, Moffat Nathan. We are a part of the Moffat Nathan. Q4 SPOD. Sorry. Right. Where were we? Hi, everybody. How's it going? Good to see you here. Crumpets. I never even. Oh, hey, you got to put myself on Do Not Disturb. Thank you for reminding me. Whoever did that. I didn't get to. Trader Joe's has crumpets. I don't go to Trader Joe's that often, but I go occasionally, and they have crumpets. I didn't get any. So anyway, John said the crumpets call Roger, Hank, Matthew, Bill, Brian, Eugene, Frank, Donna, Webb, Jeff, Sloss Bear 2, John, of course, and Nate. Hey, Webb, I meant to write back to you. Are you a plane enthusiast? Or is that a plane you've been on? I have questions. I'll write back to you. Anyway, I don't like small planes. Well, I don't like any plane, really. The most comfortable I've been was when I flew to Paris one time. And that was on one of those giant planes, really giant planes. That made me comfortable because you couldn't feel a thing. And I don't want to talk about flying anymore because it freaks me out. Anyway, you're a plane owner. See, I didn't want to out you. I suspected you might be. Was that your plane that you sent me a picture of? Because that looks swanky. I should, if we ever all get to go outside again, and if we're ever in the same place, I'll introduce you to my friend Matt. I don't believe he owns a plane, but he's flown several. He's actually friends. He was friends. I don't know if he's still, sadly, because, they're aging out. He was friends with people who flew in World War II. And because of that, and he's about my age, maybe a year older, maybe a year younger. But because of that, he got to fly some amazing historic planes, as well as some more recent ones, and huge. Anyway, that's my friend Matt Webb. So if we're ever all any place, I'll hook you guys up. In the meantime, why don't we do a show? See, who knew that Webb owned a plane? This is one of the cool things about doing this thing where you guys are over there talking and I get to talk to you and all that stuff. Webb owns a plane. I had no idea. And now we can begin. Let's talk about TV. You wanna? Watching Apple TV Plus watching. It is Friday, the 22nd of January, 2021, and this is macOS Can Live. Boy, it feels like a Friday, doesn't it? Hi, everybody. It's Ken, Ray, host of Oh Golly, this show and some other shows. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I like when an idea just presents itself. Like, here, talk about this. Today, we're talking about Apple TV Plus numbers, with the understanding that we don't have any real numbers from them. And I'm going to hit you upside the head with why it doesn't matter anyway, which I know is a crazy way to start a show. Hey, listen, before we begin, let me tell you why what we're talking about today doesn't matter. I'm not going to do that before we begin. I'm going to do that in the second part of the show. First part of the show, we'll just go over some stories that kind of caught my attention. There was a story that I brought on today's macOS Can, and something about the numbers kind of like, it was the kind of thing that I knew I would talk about here if I were talking here at that point. But macOS Can, there's a fine line between what belongs there and what belongs here, I think. Or maybe it's not that fine a line. Maybe it's a big, broad line. Either way. The thing that occurred to me in the CIRP numbers that we got yesterday, that I brought to you today on macOS Can, it didn't really feel like there was the place to talk about it, though in retrospect, maybe I should have. So CIRP hit with big numbers for iPhone, and we'll touch on those briefly because that was really the point of the CIRP release. They said that the, what is it called? No, come on, it's right here in front of me. There it is. The U.S. weighted average retail price for iPhone this year is $873. Kind of a big deal because that is up from last year's $809. The reason is because now people are skewing more towards the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is kind of good news, I guess, heading into the earnings. It gives people more things to play with, and that's fine. For today's purposes, what we're going to talk about is what they saw in services. They would like to see Apple do better in some of the higher end services, things like Apple Care. They say that people are paying a lot for iCloud, which is great. I mean, for Apple, I pay more than I would like to for iCloud, but I need it, so I have it, and it's fine, and that works out for them, and it works out for me because my stuff's everywhere, blah, blah, blah. The thing that was really interesting to me were the numbers for Apple TV Plus and Apple Music. According to CIRP, 1/3 of people surveyed are subscribers to Apple Music, and well, over a third actually, and over a quarter of people surveyed. Did I get those numbers right? Yeah, over a third are subscribers to Apple Music, and over a quarter are subscribers to Apple TV Plus. And CIRP looks at that as really good news. It should be noted that their scope is limited, not by the number, but by the time. They based that on a survey of 500 buyers of Apple hardware between October of 2020 and December of 2020, which is 3 months, which is how long the free trial for Apple Music is. We don't know whether those people are going to stay on, and we don't know whether those people are going to stay on for Apple TV Plus. It's kind of interesting because it's a 3-month trial for Apple Music, and over a third of people have signed up for that. It is a 1-year trial for Apple TV Plus, and over a quarter of people have signed up for that. And none of them are paying a dime. And so, I mean, it's kind of interesting. You say, well, maybe they're going to get those people and then they'll hold on to those people, except maybe they won't. Moffett Nathan's Q4 SVOD tracker for all your SVOD needs is out with new numbers today that say things aren't looking great for Apple TV Plus. It was featured in Variety. I got it from Apple Insider. Basically, what they're saying, well, here, I'll read you the Apple Insider bit. In the fourth quarter of 2020, 62% of Apple TV Plus users were on the promotional plan. I don't understand how that number is that small, actually, because they keep extending the promotional plan. I signed up a year ago, well, over a year ago now. I signed up in November, the day that it launched, which means I was supposed to start paying in November. But of course, COVID-19 hit. My assumption is that is the reason that Apple has not started charging people yet, because they thought they were going to. We should have already finished the second season of For All Mankind. We should have already finished the second season of The Morning Show. We should be well into new shows and second seasons of shows that came out later, right? The value proposition wasn't there. And I am assuming that is the reason that Apple keeps extending it. I haven't heard that. They haven't said officially. It's just every now and then, well, twice now we've heard they're extending it. Right as we were approaching, you're going to be paying for it starting in November, came word that actually we're not going to make you pay for it until February. And now, as we're approaching paying for it in February, word is actually we're not going to make you pay for it until June, which might give you an idea of how fits and starts production is going for the Apple TV Plus stuff. So only 62% of Apple, I'm sorry, so 62% of Apple TV Plus users are on the promotional plan. Kind of amazing to me that they've been able to pick up the 38% of people who are paying for it. But okay, here's where it gets dicey, I guess, if you want to say that. The data suggests that most users either don't plan to resubscribe when their trial ends or are unsure if they will, which is different. 30% say they will renew. 29% say they will not renew. That leaves 41% who are undecided whether they're going to spend $5 a month. And I'm not saying Apple doesn't want the $5 a month. I will say Apple doesn't need the $5 a month. I will also say they've got plenty of time to try to grab them. And they're doing a lot to try to grab them. But we'll get to some of that in a second. There was another bit of math that I actually found kind of funny that was also on today's macOS Ken. Servant, the creepy, creepy show about the creepy, creepy pretend baby, maybe, or, the evil nanny. I don't even know what that show, but okay. I found it creepy. I want to say the first two episodes, maybe the first three, and then I ducked out because life is creepy enough. And that was before the pandemic. According to a piece from Deadline, more than double the number of people watched season two, week one of Servant versus season one, week one. And the Deadline piece wanted to make a big deal of the fact that that's really impressive because week one of season two only had one episode, whereas week one of season one had three episodes. So they were able to double viewership with one episode versus the three. And, okay, that sounds kind of impressive, except it's season two and it's a year of building an audience for Apple TV Plus, right? So that first week was in November of 2019. It was later in November. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks after Apple TV Plus launched. It was not one of the launch shows, but it was very soon. When, I don't know, let's say 10 people had signed up for Apple TV Plus, and that's a dumb number, and it's an intentionally dumb number. The thing is, if they only added 10 people a month after that, when you come back around, you're looking at 130 people. Well, of course, then more people are going to watch the second season. Additionally, or week one of the second season. Additionally, you've got people who, came on in November of last year and started watching it from the beginning. You've got people who signed up in July when, Greyhound was coming on. So they signed up so they could watch the Tom Hanks thing and maybe checked it out and maybe liked it and stayed around. I don't know what that number actually proves, except that people don't hate the show Servant, or people who watch season one don't hate the show Servant, and enough of them came around that the numbers grow. Which is not to denigrate what they did either. I mean, it's cool. That's cool, but it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. If in November I watched it, and then 2 months later I told a friend of mine about it, and then when season two started, both my friend and I watched it, that's double the number of people that watched it the first week. Without numbers, except for double, it doesn't really tell us that much. And yet Apple is still leaning in all kinds of stuff. I mean, they have that show Losing Alice that premiered today, which is also an interesting thing. That's the second show, I think. Tehran was the first one that I want to say came out of Israel. Losing Alice comes out of Israel as well. It's kind of interesting that you can find quality content for an English-speaking audience that most of the rest of the world hasn't heard of. It's kind of neat that they have found this sort of well of content that they can go to. I say well, I don't know how many shows they've gotten from such partnerships. Two that I know of for certain, Tehran and Losing Alice. But they are still, bringing other stuff. They are now into the second season of Servant. They are now into the second season of Dickinson. They're on their way soon. Well, Palmer, I believe, which is the Justin Timberlake movie, comes out, I think, next weekend, next Friday, if memory serves. I know we're very close to the second season of For All Mankind. They're continuing to produce content. And of course, they're signing new deals for content all the time. Just today came the story of a Brie Larson show that they have signed. Not the Brie Larson show, although that would be funny if they, lean into the whole like old time variety show. Lessons in Chemistry, this is called. And Lessons in Chemistry honestly reminds me of the kind of thing that I was hoping for from Apple TV Plus when they stood up on stage. And I know I've harped on this a million times, but when they stood up on stage and said, great stories can change the world, and then they did Servant. I'm not saying it's not a good story, but it's not the kind of thing, it's not the sort of aspirational thing that you would hope for. The morning show could be. It's tough to tell because we've only had one season, but the morning show could end up being that kind of show. Mythic Quest, probably not that kind of show, but absolutely hilarious, so I'm cool with it. Ted Lasso, yes. Ted Lasso, I believe, is the kind of story that can change the world. So Lessons in Chemistry is kind of interesting. It's about a woman in the 1960s, played by Brie Larson, fiction, a fictionalized telling of a fictionalized person, which would have to be a fictionalized telling. This is the true story of a fake person. Well, that's like a Banksy thing, isn't it? Anyway, it's about a chemist who gets fired from her lab job in the 1960s when they find out that she's pregnant. And she ends up taking a job on TV where she's teaching cooking, but then she ends up teaching about chemistry as well. It's the kind of story that, who knows? On the one hand, it sounds schmaltzy. On the other hand, it's got some good writers behind it. I want to say the person who wrote the screenplay for Aaron Brockovich is going to be writing and producing. Brie Larson has an amazing amount of star power right now. Sounds like a good story. I look forward to seeing what happens there. They're just leaning so hard into this thing. Ted Lasso, by the way, this was another thing that we talked about earlier this week on on Mac OS Ken. Ted Larson is up for 3 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Supporting Actress for Hannah Waddingham. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hannah Waddingham. She plays team owner Rebecca on the show. Jason Sudeikis is up for Best Actor in a Comedy Series, and Ted Lasso is up for Best Comedy Series. And I really hope it wins. Apple was said when they started this whole thing to be going for awards. And it'd be kind of funny because this is definitely a show that I think people did not expect much of when it was announced. I know I didn't. I thought it could easily be Apple's first big misstep. And now it's up there with Community for me as far as great storytelling and great characters and all that stuff. Additionally, there's the guy they hired from Warner Brothers earlier this week. He'd already left Warner Brothers, except he hadn't officially left yet, but he's going to be coming to promote their movie stuff. J.P. Richards is his name. Worked on promotions for such films as Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Joker, A Star is Born, It, the Lego movies. Before that, he was at Universal, where he worked on the Bourne series, the Fast and Furious series, and the Despicable Me movies. So he knows a thing or two about getting notice, I would say. And then they're leaning in with all the huge movies and directors as well. They've got the Ridley Scott thing about Napoleon, Kit Bag. That's going to be happening at some point. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, Antoine Fuqua's Emancipation, Snowblind with Jake Gyllenhaal, and Swan Song with Mahershala Ali. And I'm sure there are plenty others that I've forgotten. That's just what I've got in front of me right there. But let's worry about whether, a quarter of people who have it for free right now are going to stay. Let's worry about the fact that we've got this 40% in the middle that we don't know about. Because what it is right now is what it is right now. It's like worrying about it. It's like if you're watching a line of ants. Hang on. We'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to remind you about some other stuff I do. I've got a bunch of different shows that I do. In a Few Minutes is coming back next week. Took this week off. Kind of feel bad about that, and yet I also feel better for it. So look for the show In a Few Minutes wherever you get podcasts. You can also listen to past episodes right here on YouTube, or just download all the past episodes too. Of course, I do Mac OS Ken. That is the daily Apple news and news related to Apple News show Monday through Friday. It comes out in the morning, so you can start your day the Apple news and news related to Apple News way. That show turns 15 next Tuesday, by the way. That's a lot of time. And then finally, I do a show called The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. We talk about security stuff and security stuff. I believe we are actually talking to a guy from iMore next week about Zoom. Because remember when Zoom was like the scariest thing you could put on your computer, and then we all had to go inside and suddenly remembered, oh yeah, Zoom's a thing. Did it ever get fixed? Is it a safe thing, or is it just a thing we remembered? We'll be talking about that next week. Stephen Warwick should be our guest next week. So lots of stuff for you to check out, and I certainly hope you will. And now back to what we were talking about. If you're watching a line of ants, If you're watching a line of ants, you might see one like, kind of wander off by himself. And maybe he's doing something and maybe he isn't. But if you're watching a line of ants and you start, concentrating on the individual ants, you're missing what's really going on. Like, all the food that they're taking back to their place or the infestation that's going into your house or whatever it is ants do. I don't even know. My point is, if you're watching one ant and missing the whole line, you'll have no clear idea of what's going on. To concentrate on these numbers today seems a bit ridiculous. To write headlines about Apple TV Plus, where they say, oh, golly, we're not sure everybody who's on right now is going to stay on, it doesn't matter. The Ridley Scott movie that I talked about, Kit Bag, that doesn't start production anytime soon. They have signed for this epic telling of Napoleon's life starring Joaquin Phoenix. That deal is done. I assume money has changed hands. And Ridley Scott's like, yeah, but listen, hold on really quickly because I have to go make this other movie about the person who murdered, I can't even remember now, somebody in fashion. I can't remember what it was. But he's got this other movie that he has to make, and that hasn't even started shooting yet. That doesn't start shooting until March. And so when he's done with production on that, then he'll start working on Kit Bag, but I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is going to be sitting on set waiting for him. My assumption is once he's done with that other movie, then they have to ramp up production, which means we're probably looking at what? 2 years at least for Kit Bag, and yet Apple has signed a deal for that movie. So you know what? Worry about season 3 of Servant if you want to, because Apple has basically said, yeah, we're doing this, right? I don't know when Killers of the Flower Moon comes out. It's not coming out tomorrow. Scorsese, I mean, he's not Stanley Kubrick, but he's not the fastest gun on the back lot either. I mean, he's not cranking out movies every other day, I guess is what I'm saying. That movie's going to take some time. All of these things are years out. And yet Apple's doing that. So the numbers are fun to watch, but they're also sort of fun to deflate. They're also sort of fun to look at and say, well, that one's kind of weird because we're forgetting about the fact that all the people they talk to are on free trials right now. We're forgetting about the fact that a lot of the people on the free trials might not be staying for the free trial. But the thing we're really forgetting about is Apple has built a movie studio. 2 years ago, they didn't have one, or 3 years ago, they didn't have one. And now they're cranking out movie and TV and all kinds of properties, and we're watching every 5 minutes, to see, oh, well, that 5 minutes sucked. I guess Apple's done. They're not close to done. There was a science fiction book I read years ago, The Fountains of Paradise. I'm going to spoil it, but the book's over 50 years old. So, turn me down. I'll wave my hand. Well, that doesn't help the audio people. And basically, in the Fountains of Paradise, they were doing a thing where they were trying to build one thing, and it was the first thing of its kind. And the epilogue to the book is those things are so prevalent that nobody remembers when that thing didn't exist. And that's content for Apple TV Plus. 5 years from now, we're going to look back and say, do you remember when Apple TV Plus had like 4 shows and 1 movie? And the answer is going to be no, because they're going to have, at the very least tens. 5 years from now, I would think they would have, I don't know, I don't want to guess numbers, but 5 years from now, the amount of content that they have, obviously assuming that we get back to something like a regular production schedule, either during or post-COVID, to worry about it now, I mean, it's like trying to decide the game at the bottom of the first inning. We're at the bottom of the first inning. Maybe top of the second. If for no other reason because they have so much money, they're going to do it. The real question to me is why? But I'm cool with it because they got so much money. Why not? I mean, might as well be an answer. At least not trying to gouge people for it. And at least on some level, they have this, idea that the stories they're trying to tell are great stories that can change the world. I just had a lot of fun with those stories today, and that's why I wanted to bring them here. I hope you I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any comments, anything you want to throw into the mix, I would love it if you did that. There are a couple of ways to. You can leave a comment on this video right here, right now, whenever right now is, or you can also email me, info@macosken.com, info, info@macosken.com. And yeah, I'd love to share your comments. I'd love to share your comments next week. If you are in the chat room, please stay in the chat room. I will be by there momentarily. If you are not in the chat room, we saved a place, and we always do, and you would always be welcome. 3:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 6:30 in the evening on the East Coast, other times, other places, Monday through Friday. That is macOS Ken Live. I am Ken Ray, and I will talk to you soon. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, da. Oh, was there a problem with was there a problem? People seem to have been having some kind of problem today. That's a bummer. Hang on, I'm going back up to the top and see what people are saying. And I'll just apologize now if there was actually a lot of technical stuff. Nothing on this end has changed. In fact, there are fewer people streaming right now on this side than there normally are, consuming content, that kind of thing. So I hate it if there was a problem, but there we go. Your dad flew in World War II? I don't know if my dad's ever flown. I don't mean pilot. I mean, I don't know if he's ever been on a plane. He probably has been once or twice. They are starting film season 2 of Ted Lasso. Yeah, I actually did that on macOS Ken earlier this week. Devise and Conquer. Hey, Brittany's in the house. Hey, Brittany. Or she was anyway. I don't know if she still is or not. Oh, and then John's asking Brittany's name. It's Brittany. Do. Matthew asks if they re-up your free plan after you buy a new device. As I understand it, no, they do not. Your free trial is a free trial. Now, I don't know. That's what I've heard. You could try it and find out, but I don't think so. I think once you've, tried it for free. But again, I don't even know. Well, I guess people who are interested in the content who have not bought a new Apple thing, which, would be a decent number of people, I suppose. They keep giving it away for free, though. So I guess if somebody just signed up, I don't understand who's paying for it right now, honestly, because Apple keeps refunding people. I don't know. Yeah, there's Jeff actually answering Matthew's question. It's a one-time thing. Frank says he has to check when his trial ends. Yeah, we'll check and then check again and then check again. I haven't checked this time because I'm already paying for Apple One, the premium bundle, so it comes with it. The story that I did earlier this week, though, said that Apple was actually going to be refunding for people who are paying for it in Apple One, like giving you back whatever portion of that is, which I don't understand because at some point I would think it would just be free. I've heard about your problem, Webb. Not you personally, but I've heard about that. As far as are they refunding you? You can email me and let me know how that's all gone. I don't know if they're refunding you or if they're if you're having to write to them every week or every month. No Chuck tonight? Sorry, that was gross. I apologize. Frank just asked no Chuck tonight, and yeah, no Chuck tonight. John has the same problem that Webb's having, so they're commiserating. That's good. I'll keep you posted on how that goes, except you already know because you've been in there. If I actually get to use a couple more Fitness Plus classes, I'll feel better about Apple One, says Bill. I'm curious. I don't run any of the betas, but it's the story that I did on today's macOS Ken. Apparently, there is a guided walk workout for Fitness Plus people that's tied to the watch and iOS 14.4. It's kind of weird to me that Fitness Plus is going outside because of the whole video thing. I'll be curious to see about that because, I have Fitness Plus because it's part of Apple, whatever, even though I haven't tried it at all except to see that it would actually work. But I'm still walking, so there we go. Oh, Bill. Yeah, Ted's biscuit recipe for the Chef's Choice Award. Have you heard Hannah Waddingham talk about that? She said in an interview, and I don't know if it's true or not, but she said in an interview that that's the best acting of her life because those biscuits taste terrible, she said, which makes me sad. Now, here at the house, we got so because those biscuits, she made them look so good and he made them look so good. We made them, not those obviously, but we made some of those here and they're, pretty wonderful. Horrible. It's 2 pounds of butter and, flour. They're a nightmare, except for the part where they're really delicious, and I might have to make some tonight because we've been talking about it. Roger does not enjoy Ted Lasso. I don't understand, Roger. I don't understand. Now, you say you're a football fan already, so here's a question. Do you not like Ted Lasso because they don't take the football part seriously? Because I will tell you, having done radio a million years ago, I love movies and TV about radio, but they annoy the tar out of me because they get something wrong. Like anybody who, goes into a radio booth without headphones, get out. Sorry. Brian says, I saw a list of the most popular shows on Netflix over the past few months. The vast majority were old catalog shows, not their originals, with the exception of a few. Maybe Apple is making a mistake. I don't know. I don't think so. Making a mistake. Netflix has to make it in video because that's what Netflix does. Netflix has to make it in video. Hulu has to make it in video. A year ago, I would have said that Disney does not have to do anything with Disney Plus. They don't have to make it in video, but that's back when they had cruises that people were going to and theme parks that people were going to. I know Disney World is open, but I also know attendance is down. I know attendance is down in other theme parks of Disney's around the world for the ones that are open. So they now have to make it more in video. Apple doesn't have to make it in video. So are they making a mistake? They'd be making a mistake if their goal was to beat Netflix. But if I'm any indication, if you've got a good offering at a relatively low price, I'll subscribe to yours and I'll subscribe to 3 others because I am. And there are enough people in the house where somebody's watching something on one thing that we can't get rid of it. Like I'm not watching anything on Netflix. I watched a couple of Christmas movies, and I think I watched the Trial of the Chicago 7 a couple of months ago. Otherwise, I'm not watching anything on Netflix, and found out that 2 other people in the house are avidly. So is Apple making a mistake? they're making a mistake if they want to be number one in video. But I mean, you go back to what they've always said. They're not trying to be the most, they're trying to be the best. They're charging so little. It's not that they don't care, but they don't. I think what they're looking at as winning in video is not the same as the quarter to quarter to quarter, churn for Hulu or for Netflix or all that stuff. I think they're looking further down the road, again, by virtue of the fact they're making movies years out. I think they're looking at a time where 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll look back over a sea of content they've created. And if they keep the price $5 or $6, it would be stupid not to have it. We're actually, going along with them on this right now. And so it looks anemic. Like a 1-year-old. Like a 1-year-old. You look at a 1-year-old and you say, look at you. You're no good. You're useless. You don't do anything. All you do is eat. That's all you do. Sometimes, if you're not throwing it on the wall, right? Because a 1-year-old isn't done. A 1-year-old is like the very beginning, right? Same thing for this. And anyway, that's my thought. I assume I know that now is about Britney. All right. Hey, Gary was here. David, another Bill, and Brittany, but we've already talked about her. Eugene had no troubles with the stream. I'm glad to hear that. All right. GT Mako, on the other hand, had the show cut out twice, so that's a bummer. John's dad drove ships in World War II. Donna's dad flew in World War II. John's dad drove ships. My dad drove a Corvette. Not in World War II, obviously. Chuck is a slacker. It's Friday. Chuck does family stuff on the weekend, I think, sometimes. I know this from having, tried to call him at the last minute to be on a show. I think. I don't know. Brittany says her best friend doesn't like Ted Lasso either, but she also dislikes Star Wars. How are you friends with this person? Brittany Sith? Seriously? You have a friend, your best friend doesn't like Star Wars. I don't understand. Where are we? I got distracted. I apologize. Going back to the question earlier about football, Roger says what he's heard is if you like soccer or football, sorry, if you like football, you don't like Ted Lasso. Well, okay. That's kind of a bummer. Yeah, see, Webb says in his mind, Ted Lasso isn't about football. And it's not. But of course, if you are a football fan, I can see where it might upset you. Disney Plus. Ooh, GT Mako. Are you watching? I haven't watched it yet today, so no spoilers. But are you watching WandaVision? That was like weird last week. And probably will be weird this week too, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, no, I get Eugene says that the guided walk could be audio only, AirPods in, watch active, phone in pocket. Yeah, no, I get it. It's just sort of surprising to me because the whole thing was based on, you doing the workout with the videos and all that stuff. And now they're, hey, why don't you go outside and play, which is cool. That honestly is one that would appeal to me because I don't want to work out in front of people. really is what it comes down to. So if there's a guided walk that actually, gets me going a bit faster, a bit more, um, yeah, I'll try that. Frank says Chuck golfs. Are you accusing him of something, Frank? Holy cow. Jeff says Netflix is included with his phone. HBO Max is included with his internet. He bought 3 years of Disney Plus, and Apple TV is still free. So the only thing he's paying for is Hulu. Man, you're like one of those people that goes from credit card to credit card to credit card, or like trading miles, or you'd be a great coupon shopper. And it sounds like I'm making fun, and I'm not. I'm just impressed by that. Anyway, that got me really excited. I don't know what that was about, Jeff. Good on ya, is what I was saying. And I think now we've reached the end of the thing. So I'm gonna go turn what we just did into an audio podcast, and yeah, I don't know, chillax, maybe. Thank you guys for being here this week. I appreciate it. Kind of a weird week. Thoroughly enjoyable. This part of it though, and yeah, let's do it again Monday. I think we should. Hopefully, you do too. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Up, Nate just posted. It's the end of the thing. So now all you other people are posting, but Nate already posted the end of the thing. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you soon.